Hello, my name is Kim Tsoukalas. I'm franchise owner of Network in Action Twin Cities. And I have a member with me today. She's a coach with Harmonize Coaching, and her name is Trish Perry. And I'm really excited for you to get a chance to know a little bit about what she does and how she does it and her life experiences that has brought her to be a very successful coach today. So welcome, Trish. Thank you for taking your time to visit with me and share with our viewers about your background.
Thanks, Kim. I appreciate it.
You have quite a story. I socialize, I network, and I meet people for a living. It's the best job ever. But boy, I really have never met anybody that's gone through the experiences that you have and quite the diverse backgrounds of different challenges that you've had to face and you've overcome. So I want you to share with our viewers your amazing story.
So I like to start with what my son said to me about 5 years ago. He said, you know, Mama, I am so lucky because I've had two moms. To which I responded, I guarantee you've only had one. And he said, no, you don't understand. First I had a corporate badass mom. And we're really lucky because we learned things like tenacity, our work ethic. We learned to stand up for ourselves and up for other people. And we learned all of those business things, but it was really hard. And what he was talking about was the fact that I was a corporate executive at Target, and I worked about 80 hours a week. And my thought was that if I could control everything and if everything was perfect, then life would be great. And that's not reality. There is no such thing as perfection, right? So I expected the same for my children, and it was really hard on them.
Right.
And then what happened is in 2009, I got laid off from Target after 20 years and didn't realize that it was my identity. So I jumped from one corporate job right into another corporate job. And at this job, the universe decided to talk to me and actually push me down. So in 2012, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had a double mastectomy, and I am a hyperachiever. So I found an article online that said a woman had gone back to work after 2 weeks having a single mastectomy. So I was really generous with myself, and I gave myself an extra week for the extra breast. So I decided I would be back at work in 3 weeks. It wasn't realistic. And this is what I mean by there is no such thing as perfection. And you can try and control everything, and it doesn't work. I took 6 weeks, as the doctor said, to heal. And then I went back to work. I was like, oh, thank God, I'm back to work. And I was greeted with this. Wow, it must have been really nice to have 6 weeks off to do nothing but lay in bed and watch TV and read books. And that's the way I was greeted back to work. And 2 weeks later, I got a phone call that my 91-year-old father was in emergency brain surgery. And we took about 4 months having to nurse him back to health. And then I was going in for my second surgery. It was 5 days beforehand. I got another phone call that one of my sisters was going in emergency surgery because she had stage 4 malignant melanoma. I walked down the hall, I quit my job. I had my surgery, and then 2 days later, which I wasn't supposed to do, but I did, I got in the car and drove to Chicago to be with her. And Kim, she died 8 weeks later. So that was all in 9 short months. And I took 2 years off to really take care of my family, take care of all of the tragedies that had happened. And I put everyone and everything first. And I still had not taken care of myself. So at the end of 2 years, I thought, oh, I am going back to corporate, but I can't go back having quote unquote done nothing, because all of that was nothing in the corporate world to me. So I got my coaching certification. That still wasn't enough, so I went back and got my mastery. And it was when I coached my last client, I was still going back to corporate. And she had a traumatic brain injury. And we had been coaching. She was going back to work. She didn't like her new brain, but she was saying to me, nothing I can do about it, is what it is. And her last session, she came in, she was so happy. And she was like, I really like my new brain. And I said, oh, I'm so glad. And she said, I hope you know you helped save my life. So, you know, tongue in cheek when we say it. And I was like, oh, no problem. I loved working with you. She just stared at me and tears started coming down her face. And she said, no, you don't understand. You helped save my life. And it was at that moment when I just took a deep breath and said, you know what? I'm done being transactional and corporate. Instead, I want to be impactful and help people to get back what
This
they
is
think.
this is where your why was created.
Right. Absolutely. That is my why. That is why I coach.
Right. And it's probably the most fulfilling, inspiring thing for you. I know you touched so many people's lives, and it's like when I listen to what you went through in 9 months, I just am in awe, because I am lucky enough, not that I haven't had my crosses to bear, but to be at the point of my life, I haven't gone through all that in nine months, what you went through. I haven't done that in my 55 years. So I'm sure my time will come, knock on wood, but that's a lot for a person. But, you know, it's about taking these things and saying, what am I going to do to better my life? You have a choice. You can roll up in fetal position and feel sorry for yourself and just, or you can say, life is a gift. I'm going to take all these experiences and I'm going to help make a difference in the world. And that's what you've done, Trish Perry. I think
And that was a second part of the conversation with my son.
Yeah.
Which was, and now I have a Zen mom. And I said, what are you talking? I am not a Zen mom. And he said, yes, you are. Because you're talking with me, not at me. And
your son sounds very wise.
I know. I was like, out of the mouths of babes. It was amazing. So that's the way that I like to tell my story, because it ends with my son telling me that I have made an impact. And even if that impact is just on my family, I'm happy, but it's not.
Well, think of how much I bet he's learned a lot more from you, seeing this side of you than the badass mom. And I think what's really, really, really unique and cool about what you do is there's a lot of coaches. There's one at every corner. There are. And you know what? It's great, because there's a lot of people that need coaching. And we all have different things that we need to work on, and connections and challenges in our life. But what's really neat about you is you've had an unbelievably successful corporate career. So you definitely understand corporate. Not only that, you're a mom. And so you understand the balance and challenges of being a successful person and trying to challenge having a wonderful, fulfilling marriage and kids. Not only that, you've experienced a lot of life challenges of trauma and hurt and sadness that is too much for anyone to bear. And then on top of it, you've experienced a little later in your life, just changing your life and reinventing yourself and becoming an entrepreneur. So think about how many boxes that you truly can check, because I can honestly say to you, I don't meet a lot of coaches that can check all those boxes. So which is going to lead me to our next question. Who are your clients and what kind of results have you had with them? Because I just wanted to take a minute and share how cool it is that you have all those experiences that there's really not a lot of people you can't relate to.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, but it's true.
And
yeah.
I coach leaders who are struggling because they have too much on their plate and they feel overwhelmed. So it can be from a specific hardship, like what I just talked about, or just overall life challenges. And they end up feeling like they aren't winning at home or at work. And so I help them find balance and get back to being successful at both home and work. So like I said, 10 short years ago, I was that leader. And since then, I've coached over 100 leaders to navigate challenges and really gain back their balance, their inner power, and their direction. So I'll give you one example. Coaching a fractional CEO who, quite honestly, was doing his job from bed. So he was a victim of Bernie Madoff, and he lost millions of dollars, and he lost all of his self-confidence. He had no balance. He felt like he had no power, and he was directionless. And so in 3 months, we really worked to start at his foundation, his core. What are his values? Who is he? And then we worked up from there. And today, he's a successful CEO who's working in the office. He now has a grandchild, so he's flying to New York to see that grandchild. He lives in California. And he's living this joy-filled life that he thought that he had lost. So that's just one example.
In a lot of ways, he kind of reinvented himself too. Sometimes we need to just pick ourselves up and just get back to basics and start over.
Right.
I love that story.
And then on the flip side, I was coaching a student who was who's going to get her PhD, and she wanted to get into a specific school. She had a really hard time at work with her supervisor, and she had a really hard time at home with her family. So she's from the Middle East, and she felt like she had absolutely no power. So again, we worked with her from her foundation. What were her values? What was her purpose? What was her brand? And we worked up from that. She got into her top pick for a PhD. She's going there this fall. She stood up to her father from the Middle East, which is very difficult. She changed her last name to her mother's last name. And she says that she is a completely different person.
She's a little force to be reckoned with. So, like, good for her.
So, you know, and I like to use both of those stories because it shows the breadth that I work with as well. So does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, you and I, we consider all day. I mean, right. You know, but I think examples are good. And I wanted to share that you have all these experiences in life. So again, there's not anyone really that, I mean, corporations running in a big corporate company like Target is not the same as being an entrepreneur, but now you've experienced both challenges. So I just feel like there's just so many, again, boxes you can check. I want you to share with our viewers a little bit about what services you provide and a little bit about your credentials.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to start with my credentials because one thing I will tell you is when you are looking for a coach, it is important to make sure that you are talking to a certified coach.
Yeah.
And the reason that that's important is because there are a lot of people who just decide that they give great advice so they can be a coach. So anyone can hang a shingle out their front door and say, oh, I'm a coach. Versus when you are certified and you've gone through some rigorous training. So I went to Learning Journeys International School of Coaching, and that's where I got my practitioner and my mastery. Not only that, I'm very involved with the International Coaching Federation, ICF, and I was president of ICF Minnesota for a couple of years. But they have certifications where you have to test to get your certification. Right. So you know that those people have actually gone through the education they need, as well as understanding what it is to be a coach. So I am a second level coach, so there are 3 levels in ICF. And
Of course you are.
I'm a PCC. I will be getting my MCC sometime in the next couple of years. And it is to go through to get that certification, you also have to sign up for the ethics.
Right.
And that also is extremely important. So that's where I start, is with my certification. And then the services that I provide. So I provide both mainly private coaching, but I also do some group coaching. I also provide every 8 weeks, I do a free webinar so that people can learn what I've gone through in life and those lessons. And I give a lot of information about different acronyms of ways that you can take care of things, etc. As well, I send out a newsletter every week, and it's a story about my life and then something that I've learned within those adversities that I share with everyone. And then finally, and Kim, you know this, I 3 times a year I have a workshop, and it's called Power Path Goal Success Workshop. And it is nothing like you have ever taken before. We break every paradigm of setting a goal. You know, starting by closing your year, clarifying your values, creating a success story of what your whole year is going to look like versus first setting your goals. And I can go on, but I'll stop there. But it breaks all the paradigms. And I do it in November for the planners. I do it in January for the just-in-timers, and I do it in May for the knowers, which is, oh no, I'm not where I want to be.
Right.
And I really need some help getting level. So.
I highly recommend that. I'm so honored that I was able to experience, and I'm experiencing that. Everyone needs, everyone needs to have goals, but they also need to. What I've loved about yours is focus more on progress than your goal. I mean, obviously it's goal, but life gets in the way, and a lot of us too, we get so driven in our work. If anybody understands that, you do, that we're not always focusing on having balance and having goals in our personal life, whether it's our relationships, our health, could even be projects that you want to do or hobbies you want to take. So, well, I want to let you know, Trish, I am so honored that you're a member of our group. And in a very short amount of time, you've making a lot of impact with a lot of members. And I just want to let you know how proud I am and how thankful I am that you're part of our family, because I absolutely love what I do. And I love working with people like you that inspire me. And I just want to highly encourage anyone that's going through, maybe you're stuck in your life. Maybe you're stuck because you don't know where you want to go with your career, or maybe you want to change your career and you want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're stuck because you've had trauma and you just don't know how you can get your life back and be happy again. I want to highly encourage you to reach out to Trish. It's so much different than counseling. It's way more about getting you unstuck than it's just the fastest way to get your life back in the most effective way. How would people reach out to you if they have questions about your services? And don't you provide a consultation free of charge to just?
Yep, I provide a free 30-minute discovery session.
Yes.
They can reach out to me via email. It's trish.perry@harmonize, the letter U.com.
We'll post that on this video as well.
Yeah, they can go to my website, which is harmonizeu.com, or quite frankly, they can just call me.
And you know what? I also want to throw out, I have an amazing life. I couldn't be happier. It doesn't mean by any means we all have challenges, even when our life is good. Don't always need to go to a coach when your life is bad, right? Sometimes you might not even realize you need to stop sometimes and just kind of reflect and say, you know, even though one area is really good, sometimes you'll find that that area is really good, but other areas are suffering. So don't just talk to Trish if you're struggling, even though that's a dang good reason to. Sometimes you want to just talk to Trish because you want to be fabulous and even more fabulous. So thank you again for being a valued member of our groups, Trish, and thank you for your time today.
I appreciate it.